Here's the latest project. Older Husqvarna, 13 horsepower Kohler. It's a hydrostatic and it's got pretty bad tires, but everything's there. So we'll get this back home, we'll start working on it. A little better look at it now that we're home. My dad helped me get it on and off the trailer. Not always good about filming this stuff when I'm at someone else's property. So, got you a little bit of an intro. 3 out of the 4 tires are off the bead, and the rear tire that's on the bead doesn't inflate. So we have some serious tire issues. Although, you know, they don't look all dry rotted, so I think we're going to be able to save these as long as they mount back up. It's got some serious dents and things, but that should all come back to shape. I mean, overall, not bad. I will paint all this because I think just the orange comes out real good when you repaint it. Stickers are all in really nice shape. The hood is plastic, so maybe I don't have to paint that, but yeah. So these decks are nice with the 4 anti-scalp wheels. You know, we have all of them. They just didn't have pins, so when we lifted up the tractor, they all fell out. But the deck looks good. It's electronic PTO. Everything looks like a nice shape. And the dash and everything. Seat, seen better days. And we have a little Kohler Command, 13 horsepower, but it's got the airbox cover and, you know, seems complete. Have the mechanical fuel pump. So those usually go bad. But, you know, this has, potentially you could bypass that whole thing. I kind of hated this setup. I don't really understand it. Like, why can't you just go gravity? Maybe this isn't quite high enough to gravity feed into the car, but it really should be. So you can even bypass that pump. Looks like they're hooked up to it right now, but we'll see how that goes. Those pumps are just notorious. So yeah, it looks pretty dirty, but it does not look like it's leaking oil. These commands are pretty bulletproof. Probably the smaller the better too, you know. So pretty small engine though, 13 horsepower, not super desirable, but you know, you got a hydrostatic. There we go. All right, first thing we fixed. All right, obviously this needs a lot of cleanup, needs cosmetic work. I don't know much about it. I got this for $50, and you know, it was sitting on the guy's property that he rents out to a business, so it didn't seem like he knew too much about it either. Well, what do we have here? Oh, yippee. So, but engine spins over by hand. All right, we'll crack into this. It's as good a day as ever to work on this Husqvarna, so sloppy in the mud over here. Just got out of work and figured it'd be fun to see if I could get these tires to get set up on the bead here. So I'll set you up like this. We'll try a little carb spray and some fire. We'll see if we can get these tires to inflate. First, I'm going to hook up my little portable air compressor, just in case the tire sits on the bead. There's a lot of dirt in here. Just in case it gets on the bead, we want to be able to inflate it. So let's see how this goes. Lots of fire, but that didn't sit up. Ooh, that was close. There we go. All right, there's one tire. This is in pretty rough shape. Let's see how we do. Oh yeah. Oh, we got that one first try. I couldn't get that other rear tire, but this one just looks like it needs air. Actually, it's off the bead there, so we'll have to try that trick on this side. See how we do. Got it. Too bad. All right, just one more to go. Just gotta keep trying this one. Got the shape of the tire back a little bit. Got that divot out of it. That could help us out. Come on. It almost seems like it's there, but it's just not. There we go. Yeah, that's on. It's gonna pop. You see it go, the bead set right there. There it is. Put a lot of air in there because I kept hearing it settle in. So hopefully a lot of internal pressure will help that. Just starting to look over the engine a little bit. We have what looks like good oil in the engine, but it smells a lot like gasoline, so that will have to get changed, but the level's decent. So I'm just gonna take this air filter off and I'll give it a spray of starting fluid. Oh, good. Battery's disconnected. This makes this job a lot easier. Just have to connect it to the loose wires. Set the parking brake. And on choke, let's see if it starts. Nothing. Sit on it. Nothing. That's in. I hear the solenoid on the carb, so that's good. We just have no crank. How much you bet has something to do with this? Well, we could jump the starter. Maybe we'll do that. So I like to put the positive on the starter. Make sure your key switch is on the start, well, on the run position. And then just ground this to the engine block. And it should spin over. Yeah. If it has spark, we should hear it pop off just a little. Try that again. I don't know if this thing has spark or not. Well, the spark plug was pretty fouled, but I blew it off, wiped it off. Let's see if we can set it up right there for you, and then I'll ground out this jumper and the engine will spin, and we'll see if we get some blue spark. I see nothing. So I don't think we have any spark. That's too bad. So we'll have to investigate further into this, take the engine cover off, and we'll check out our coil. Well, some time has gone by, can't you tell? Can't let a little snow stop us, right? It's also 25 degrees out. All right, where'd we leave off with this thing? No spark and no crank. So not a very encouraging set of circumstances to get you going here. Oh yeah, no battery either. Oh, I did dump one in there. Alright, I think what I need to do is get into the behind the dash area, and I can't get this gas tank out. Look how deep that gas tank is. Yeah, no matter what you do. I didn't try disconnecting it. Maybe that would do it, and it is empty. I could just cut that line. But it kind of seems like I need to get back in here to check on all the things for why this doesn't crank over. So let's see if I can get access to that without taking these dash bolts off, although that doesn't look too bad. Looks like it might be 4. Could be worse, right? It's one of those moves where you do a little bit of everything. Take the bolts off and you disconnect the fuel line. But what I'm really trying to avoid is breaking a little fuel nipple on this. That's the last thing I want to do with this really unique gas tank. Oh. What? Why is this so big? Still got a tray to deal with too. So let's remove that. And maybe we can start diagnosing this thing. Okay, I got you underneath the gas tank here. I noticed this harness unplugged, and I don't know if you can see this light gray safety switch. That harness was unplugged from it, and that's the first sign of something amiss. So I think we have it figured out. I'm gonna try to plug that in, and then I'll jump the battery and see if our key switch finally works. Jump pack is on. The emergency brake isn't clicking. I think it has something to do with this, but I'm gonna hold down the brake and turn the key. There we go. All right. I know I have no spark, so there's no point in me cranking, but why in the world was that disconnected? That was very intentional, because you saw what I had to go through to get access to that. So somebody did that. I don't know, beats me, but all right, this thing has crank. That's a very good sign, and makes this thing a whole lot easier to work on. All right, let's see if we can take the engine cover off and diagnose that coil. And yes, I do own a tripod. What's taken me so long to use it for this video? I don't know. Oh man, we have like a frozen mouse nest in here. Alright, well, the coil wire is all there. It looks like the ground wire is intact. I believe so. Hard to tell. So we could just try to swap out that coil. I can't really see if anything is chewed on. Doesn't quite look like it. This engine is gonna need a real good thaw and clean out. There's just stuff everywhere. Not really in the head though. I guess this doesn't go too deep, so maybe it's not that bad, but yeah, I don't like it. Looks good and crusty, like got peed on real good. That's what mice do. Okay, let's see if we can get those off without breaking them. Surprisingly easy. There we go. Let's go check the parts bin, see if we have one of these. All right. Briggs coil, Briggs coil, Briggs coil. Just a host of Briggs coils. All right, here's our original Kohler that we're just assuming is dead. Haven't done any test. I'm just gonna assume it's dead. All right, I did have this in the used pile. And it has the Kohler Command 17 horsepower sticker that I wrote. It even says new. So just do a little compare here. I think that's gonna work. It's all about bolt holes. See, I know I have another one in here that looked like it could work. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, here it is. So, you know, at first it looks right. Like, you know, if you line up the tips here, but then if you look at the bolt holes, you know, here's the original. If you match up the bolt holes, you can see how much more the magnet sticks out. So that one wouldn't work. All right, let's keep our original off to the side, but let's give this new one a try. putting the new coil in. Now, if you don't have a business card lying around, I just use some painter's tape doubled over so there's no sticky side, and that works just fine. Okay, I'm gonna set up the camera. You're gonna have to tell me if this thing has spark. Oh yeah, I actually saw it from where I was. Plenty of spark. That's awesome. All right, we got this thing pretty well sorted out. Pop the air cover off and see if we can hear this thing fire off for the first time. Okay, I got the engine cover back on. Splash of gasoline in the intake. This is going to be a true cold start here. I bet it's going to fire off. We have no gas tank, so it's only going to run on whatever's in there. I don't think I checked for oil, but let's just try it. How's that backfire? All right, she runs. That's all I wanted to see. All right, it's a couple days later. I just finished up cleaning up the gas tank, and then I had to undo all the bolts again, squeeze the gas tank back in there. I did some new fuel lines and a filter, and I have the filter primed already. I have the tires filled back up with air. I'm gonna try to get this thing out of the snow, out of the weather, and finally back into the shed so we can start working on it. I don't have any carb spray, so we're just gonna see if this carb will do it. I kind of doubt it will. I bet it's really dirty, but I'd rather see if it'll run. That way I don't have to push it into the shed with snow all over the place. So we're gonna just see. We're gonna see if it does it. To die with the, oh boy. That was pretty pitiful. Okay, every time I take off the brake, it wants to die. I might try to disable that seat safety. It's sort of running. It's running like it's on choke. I wonder with this kind if you have to connect those. I think you do. With just the two. We could try it like that, but yeah, oh, we got nothing. And no crank now. Pull that out real quick. Fuse looks good. I don't know what could have happened. All right, I'll bring you back in a minute. Yeah, well, I'm out of breath now. No, I didn't get it started. I just pulled the bumper and just slugged it. This thing was leaking oil out of the muffler in a lot of different places. You can kind of see it here, so I don't know what's going on there. Look at this. I'm hoping it was just hydro locked. That was from all the cranking. Yeah, pretty weird. So yeah, I guess what I'm hoping is that there's not a hole in the engine. But Yeah, we got some stuff to figure out here. I was pretty optimistic, but now it's looking worse. You know, could change real quick if we can figure out why it's not cranking, but we got our work cut out for us. It's a bit cold in the shed today, and I'm doing a pretty bad job of filming here, but okay, so I pulled this thing into the shed like you saw. That was a day or two ago, and you know, none of the snow has melted, but it wasn't starting, right? I thought I got some things figured out, and then I went to go turn the key and it wasn't starting. Well, I got that sorted. It was just some loose connections. I just jiggled some things and that was fine. But this thing is still blowing all sorts of gasoline and oil. I started it up and it spewed that on my wall all over here. It's a mess under there. And I went to go take out the spark plug because I wanted to see if it was fouled or if there was a lot of fuel in the top end, and this is what I noticed, or this is what happened. So the spark plug was broken. That could be why it was running so poorly. So we're going to try a new spark plug in there, and now that this thing cranks over and we have spark, it might run well, I guess. Let's give this a try. Yeah. See what I mean? It's something's loose in there. Ooh. Not very happy. Doesn't seem to like choke. So close. Something terrible is happening. Oh my gosh. What is wrong with this engine? Do you see it leaking? Where is this coming from? I got oil everywhere. Alright, I gotta stop messing around here. Could we have a problem with the exhaust valve? And it's just letting out all the oil somehow? This is a big issue. Gonna have to get this sorted. Can you see how much oil's on the ground? Well, the good news is it's not oil, it's just gasoline. Hard to tell from this angle, but we're just flooding over with gas. So all this on the ground, I mean, it's probably slightly mixed with oil, but it's basically just gas. So we have a carburetor issue. That's a lot better than, you know, an engine that's spewing that much oil. So I think we're in okay shape. We got to do a carb clean. That's a 3/4. Looks pretty decent in there. Pin is pretty good and stuck. I'll have to work on that. There's a jet right here. We could take that out, make sure that's good. Yeah, that's perfectly clear. Pretty sure this works fine. I can hear it clicking, but we can hook it up to a battery and test it. There we go. Oh, the needle looks excellent. But something wasn't working right in there. It's one of those rubber tipped needles, and it is perfect. Now here's an additional problem. This float is filled with gasoline. I don't know if you can see it. So that's no good. Alright, the darker colored one is fine. You know, it looks a little discolored compared to this lighter colored one, but no gas in it, so we're going to use that one. Alright, carb is clean and reinstalled, and the jump pack is almost dead, but let's try this. Still spewing all sorts of stuff. Okay, carb is flooding over again. Wow, that's bad. Okay, I'm not totally convinced it's flooding because it seems like most of the fuel is coming from here. Let's see if I can show you. Yeah, it's like all coming out there. It's really strange. Well, it's the next day and we have a battery charged up here, so I think we could try to start this thing. I think I mentioned it yesterday, but this soft line hose was leaking where the hard line connects, and I just put a hose clamp on it and that seemed to do it. So let's give this a try. Well, the idle was pretty crazy, so I don't know if you can see that Phillips head screw right there, right at the top of the screen, but I just had to adjust the idle. And I did one other thing. Let's see if I can get you in here. There's this plate here. It's like the throttle plate, and I lowered it. I loosened these two bolts. It was in the highest position and it was kind of over revving, and I just returned it to its lowest position, and now that seems great. So I'll show you. Well, it was about a week ago I drove this thing out of the shed here. I didn't even know that the hydro worked. Last you probably saw, I was trying to engage or trying to move, and every time I'd lift the pedal, it would stall, like a safety issue. That seems to have fixed itself or something. And then it didn't, when I was in the shed last week, not filming it of course, but trying to get it in gear, and it would just sort of like try to move. And then eventually I got something broke free and it moved. So a week later, but let's see what it does. I don't know if you could tell when I drove this in here, but the engine is now not revving high enough. Before it felt like it was over revving, but I wasn't driving it around. And I had changed this plate. So I'm going to bring it back to where it was, which was up here. We'll see if that makes a difference. So you can hear that's a little bit too much now, so I'll find a happy medium there. I don't think the kill wire's hooked up because the key switch takes so long to shut off the engine. I think it's just shutting it off with the fuel solenoid, so I'm going to take the cover off this and inspect the kill wire on the coil. Something's not acting right. Here's the kill wire for the coil. Got a test probe in there, and then here's my harness that goes to the key switch. I don't know if you can hear that, but we have continuity there. The buzzer's going off on the multimeter. So I think everything's good there. It should be shutting off with the key switch, but maybe the key switch is bad. I don't even know if I've done this already, if I tried to swap it out. But I'm going to pop on another key switch and we'll see if that makes a difference. Because you want the engine to shut off right away, and right now there's a delay. You turn the key switch, a second or two go by, and then the engine shuts off. So what that means is it's not cutting off spark, it's cutting off fuel, and that takes a second or so. I have the front end of the tractor up on the hoist here, and I need to get these tires sorted out. They just lose air way too quickly. Every time I want to do something with this tractor, the tires are flat. Earlier in the video, I got the tires on the rims, so that's still good. They're all still set up, but they just leak. And it's strange because there doesn't even look like there's any dry rot with these tires. Alright, we're going to use the automatic transmission fluid trick here. Just take the valve stem out, and then this fluid can get in there a little bit more easily. And all this does is it expands the rubber and seals the cracks, and it works really well. I like it better than tire slime, and it seems to do the trick with just a little bit of ATF. Just turned the tractor around, got the rear tire now. This thing mows really well. The PTO works. Everything seems to be pretty smooth here, so just inspecting. Blades look good. We'll sharpen them. And we'll grind down this mowing deck and paint it. Make it look as new as we can, right? As you saw, I degreased it, wiped it down, and then I spent the next 45 minutes to an hour doing some unspeakable things with a Harbor Freight welder. I'm not prepared to show you that. I'm not ready for those comments. So we're gonna just paint the deck now and everything's all set. As you can tell, this mowing deck is in really nice shape. There's just a few little rot holes that I fixed with the welder. Kinda. This one. Well, you get the point. I'll show you how this turns out. Alright, just filmed that kind of quick, getting this fender off, and took the seat and everything off of it. This thing, as you noticed and I mentioned before, it's all dented up. So I'm going to spend a little time trying to get this thing back into shape. This side was really hit hard with something. Right here too. 2 days later, and everything's looking pretty nice in here. I used an entire can of Alice Chalmers orange on this, and I think it came out pretty good. And then the deck got 2 cans of Rust-Oleum black semi-gloss, and this is all set too. So I think what I'll do, since I'm just about wrapping this project up, except for one little electrical issue that we'll have to get to in the end, I guess, but we'll put it on time lapse and I'll reinstall the deck. Well, I gotta sharpen the blades, put the deck on, put the fender on, attach all the things. If you notice, I do have to deal with a seat on this one too. It's got a ripped seat, so my last couple of videos I've been dealing with tractor seats, so I think I have a different idea. Might take a little while, but I'll show you that process. But yeah, let's put it on time lapse and get a bunch done. And I'm interrupting the time lapse here. I forgot something. the hydrostatic control. Here it is. And there's no way to get it back in there, as far as I know, without maybe unbolting things, but I think the easiest thing to do is take this fender back off. You gotta make sure that you get the control to stick up through there. I was just about to install the new battery. Things were looking good. Oh well. Things are looking pretty nice. I like the way this deck came out. And definitely the fender looks good. I'm not sure it's exactly the same color as the hood, but I think we're gonna be okay. You know, this tractor, for what it's worth, you know, is gonna look really nice. And it's not gonna be all that desirable. It's got a 13 horsepower engine on it, you know. That's nowhere close to what they're selling nowadays, but we'll do our best. All right, so we have the seat to deal with. You know, I've had a couple videos in the past where I've been dealing with seats, and I've been spending a lot of time working on things, and I think I have a new plan. There, great. Let's move on to something else. We got a seat cover. So it's time to address this electronic issue I'm having. Basically, when the engine is running and you turn off the key, it doesn't shut off the engine right away. I can tell that it's not killing the spark, it's only shutting off the anti-backfire solenoid, which basically just cuts fuel to the engine. And so the engine is shutting off, but only because it's starved for fuel. So that takes a second or two, and that's not ideal. I don't like that, and I don't want to sell it to somebody that way. So I was doing a lot of checking with multimeter to see if my wiring was bad, because you would think it would be, but it's not. And here's how I know for sure. I rigged up my own ground wire. So here's the original ground wire that goes to the harness and everything. I unplugged that. And I wanted to see if, while the engine was running, if I just take my new ground wire and ground it out to the chassis or the engine block, or, you know, anything that has a ground, that I wanted to see if it would shut off the engine, and it does not. And I posted a YouTube short of me asking for help with that, like, what's wrong here, what am I missing? And basically everyone's saying you just have a bad coil. Okay, I could use your help, engine guys. I have a Kohler engine here with a coil that I can't get to ground out to kill spark. So you can see the engine shuts off, but just with the fuel solenoid, not with cutting spark. Anyone have any ideas on this? I didn't explain it too well, but this is a new coil, so I didn't think, you know, I just didn't think the new coil would be bad, but it is. So let me show you. I'll start up the engine, I'll try to ground out that coil, and the engine won't shut off. So it doesn't take forever to shut off, but it just doesn't shut off instantly, and I want to fix that. So I have a new coil, because that seemed to be the only thing to do, was replace the cheap Amazon coil with another cheap Amazon coil. So that's what we're going to do, and we'll run the same test and we'll see if we have it fixed. Okay, the new coil is attached, and here's my temporary ground wire, and I already tested it. You're not gonna believe this, or maybe you are gonna believe this. It does the same thing. I'll show you. So I don't know what you all make of that. I even tried the regular ground wire on here again. Continuity checks out everywhere. We have ground. We have good ground on the engine block, on the nuts and bolts. It's not like I have like a dirty ground connection where the engine mounts to the chassis, or I don't know. I have good ground everywhere. It seems like that style of coil, like, it does not matter if you have this wire hooked up or not. It does nothing. So what's the point of that? So this is a bit of a head scratcher. I really want to try to figure this out though. It's February 10th, but it's starting to look like spring out here. About getting into mud season. But yeah, it's a day later, and just, you know, trying to process this whole thing with this coil. I actually found a way to finally kill spark, and I guess it really is a bad ground issue. So I made my wire here longer for the kill switch, or for the kill tab. If I take it all the way back to the negative side of the battery, it finally kills spark instantly. So what does that mean? It means that we do have some sort of bad ground going on somewhere. It might be just a bad ground from where that black negative wire goes to the chassis. Maybe that's just not good enough. So I'm going to investigate that, but I'll show you first. I'll show you how this to the negative side of the battery kills spark right away. I don't know why, but we're backfiring now. I ran out of gas yesterday, and now it just seems like it has a bad prime, and I don't know if it sucked up something from the bottom of the tank. I'll have to clean the car. But anyway, you saw it. It killed spark right away. So I'm going to investigate all these ground connections, and then I think we'll be able to sort this out. And basically what that means is I don't think my previous coil was bad. I think we just are suffering from a bad ground here on the tractor somewhere. Well, we should be able to get it sorted. Alright, so the ground wires connect to the chassis right here, and it's like the paint looks really good on it, which could be a problem. I might grind it down so I can get some bare metal. It also is really dusty under here. I took the bolt out, but here are the two connections. This one coming from like the harness, and this one's coming from the battery. So I'm just going to clean those up. What you missed though was I cleaned the carburetor. Now it's running without backfiring, but that took like an hour because, you know, you take the carb off, you do all these things, then it starts leaking, right? So it's leaking from the bowl gasket. I had to then scrounge through all my parts, and I found another bowl gasket, and I doubled up. Eventually I ended up doubling up the gasket, and now it doesn't leak, and it runs good. It's like, man, a little side quest there. But all right, so let's get back to the issue here, see if cleaning up the ground helps it so that it's got a better connection when you kill, you know, better connection to ground and to the negative side of the battery. All right, just another test on this. Here's the negative battery cable, and I just have a multimeter probe resting on that. The other end is connected to the kill wire for the coil. If I take my key switch and I turn it off, we get continuity. Back to the run position, and continuity is interrupted. So again, should be working correctly. Now, is there an issue when I go to tighten this down on the battery? You know, because it seems like I have good connection, good ground up until here, So maybe the issue was just, I don't know, one of the bolts I was using or something. Everything looks clean, but I could, I guess, swap out a bolt. Let's finally do some testing of these coils here. I took off the coil from our Kohler engine, and then we have a good coil here from a Briggs, but we're going to run some tests on them. So I am not an expert at this. I'm watching videos to learn my best. I'm actually usually, I avoid doing all these testing, but so we're going to check what I think is the primary winding. I'm going to put my multimeter on the lowest ohm setting, 200 ohms, and I'm going to touch the kill tab and then just the side of the coil, and we're going to get 0.4, 0.3. That's a pretty good number. Again, this is a good coil, so that's reading now 0.2, but that might be a little low. But essentially, see, this is why I have such a hard time, because the numbers come out so inconsistently. So it's saying 2.2. So then to check the secondary winding, I'm going to put this to 20K, and I need to touch the side of the coil here where it mounts, and then the high tension lead where the spark plug goes, and we're getting 5.38. Okay, so those are good, relatively good numbers. This is the coil in question here. So let's start with the secondary winding. We'll go to the high tension lead, and we're getting 7.29. So that's high. So that has a lot of resistance. We still have spark though, but it's probably not very good spark. Then if I go to the primary winding, and here's my kill or ground tab, and then touch to the side of the coil where it mounts, we have nothing. So this is why we are not getting any kill when we turn off our key. All right, well, I've been out here for about hours just trying to figure out this coil issue, and I went around to all the Kohler engines I have and tested the coils, and they all test the same, which is really interesting. So do Kohler engines shut off by killing spark, or do they just shut off with fuel? Because I have this engine over here. I robbed the coil off that. It operates the same. I went around to another tractor I had. It's the same thing. I don't get it. So unfortunately, I don't think I'm really going to find a solution here. I think this is just how it goes. I don't know why I've never really noticed that before. Seems like from my post with the YouTube short that other people are experiencing this too. So maybe it's not supposed to work this way, but a lot of times it does. I really don't know. But the engine shuts off, just takes a second or two, and I'm going to proceed from here and get this engine serviced and put it back together. All cleaned up. The engine is serviced, and I'm calling this one done. I don't know if it's the best tractor I've ever worked on. I don't know if it's my best work. But this is a 1999 Husqvarna. Like I've been saying from the beginning, not the most incredible thing, right? But I think it'll fetch a couple bucks. And it looks as good as it can right now. Got the deck all restored. There's no chipping paint. The two oranges don't match perfectly, but it's not bad. Seat cover is not what people usually want to see, especially since they're so baggy. It's hard to find one that actually fits right. But let's give you a final test drive here. So I'll put the GoPro on my chest carrier and we'll drive around. I want to demonstrate that it starts right up, drives great, no hydro issues, it mows, PTO works, brakes work, charges the battery, it shuts off. Of course, you know the deal with that, but it shuts off. All those sort of things. So let's get on the tractor and we'll drive it around a bit. So I was just test driving it a little bit, and I noticed the PTO was slow to engage the blades. You pull it and it would another delay before the blades kicked on, but I just swapped in another PTO switch. Let's see if it's any better. Thank everyone for tuning in, for watching this episode. I thought this was a challenging tractor to work on. It definitely had its issues with the tires all being flat and off the rims. We had no spark for a while. We continued to have all sorts of things that needed maintenance, and we did a lot of restoration with painting the rear fender, painting the deck, and then of course trying to sort out some electrical issues, which, you know, it's all functional. I don't know if I got to the root issue like I wanted to, but as far as I'm concerned, this is a working, reliable lawnmower right now. So pretty happy with the way it came out, and I think it'll definitely sell in the spring. I want to thank you guys for watching the channel. I hope you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, help this channel grow a bit, and keep tuning in for more videos on tractors and other small engine related things. See you next time, guys.